Hey, we are. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the hell you are in the world, and welcome to SciTrek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel, which I haven't done that in ages, because I'm not normally in charge of these things now. Oh, it's all come back. We are joined, obviously, by, no, the other way, Joshua, once again, Patton. I like it when people put the middle, because I would be then J.S. Rickson. Get in the chat and guess what the S stands for. I know what people will put. How are you, sir? How are you getting on?
Fantastic. I go with the middle initial because there's a Joshua Patton basketball player who out Googles me when you search for my name. So the M narrows things down.
That's it. I'm lucky with my signature in that my surname, even that we're the only ones. So because somebody spelled our name wrong on the census like 100 years ago. So I'm one of those lucky people. I set up an email address. I don't have to put numbers in it. Just my name, outlook.com, boom, happy days. But we're here to have a talk about Star Trek. Your background should give us a hint on that, even if it is the Strange New Worlds Enterprise, which we're going to discuss is the wrong one. But we thought we'd have a mid-season chat, though, as we're halfway through the new season of Strange New Worlds. But we're going to talk Academy first. There's a lot of info's dropped on at San Diego Comic-Con. Are you excited about what we're seeing so far? I think that's just an easy way of starting it.
Yeah, I mean, I've every time I've heard the stories about the Starfleet Academy shows they tried to do, because apparently Filmation pitched a Starfleet Academy kind of cartoon back in the 60s, and then they'd wanted to do it for the movie between Star Trek 4 and Star Trek 5. And then I think there's even talk about doing one post-Enterprise before they decided to just show.
I know, Roddenberry was apparently desperate to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's Starfleet Academy. It's an idea that has always intrigued me. And, I like most people. I was like, 32nd century. But what I saw, and, I did not go to Comic-Con, but I did write the questions for the interview that my colleague Sean did at Comic-Con with the Starfleet Academy people. And just, their answers, it seems like they're excited about this, and all the little, I'm a sucker for all the little names on the wall. Harry Kim got promoted finally. The Doctor's coming back. Holly Hunter.
Like Robert Picardo coming back. I think that's a character they can bring back without sort of any issues, even though he looks older. So they might have to do a data on that one and just go, that's because I wanted to.
Yeah, or like they did with Q, or Q was like, let me catch up, but then he made himself older.
Yeah, but you could say that he very slowly ages, I suppose, for some reason, because anyway, they just won't bother. They'll just come up with some nonsense. But I just think Robert Picardo is brilliant, and he loves Star Trek, which always, it's a warm place in your heart, and it when actors actually like what they're doing.
Yeah,
it shouldn't matter. They're only an actor, but I do like it.
So I don't know. I feel good about it. I am cautiously optimistic. I am also aware that this is probably a show aimed at like younger viewers. But then think about Prodigy, which was aimed at even younger viewers. And I don't know about you, but I feel like Prodigy is the most Star Trek thing that we've gotten in this third wave.
I thought it was brilliant. I thought the business decision to aim a children's cartoon at 5-year-olds and then fill it with stuff about Voyager made absolutely no sense to me. Because what ends up happening is, Daddy, why does Mrs. Janeway back to Chakotay? Because, well, in this episode of it seemed like a really idiotic decision to have it so much about Voyager in lots of ways.
Yeah.
But aim at 5-year-olds that were like minus 20 years old when Voyager came out. I thought there was a business idea there that was just stupid. They should have just done what it was and not added Janeway or not made the whole first
season. How dare you, Jay? How dare you?
No, you can have Janeway. Just don't have the whole first season about Chakotay. Just saying, this is Admiral Janeway. Star Trek fans know who she is. They just don't go any more than that. But they didn't.
It felt kind of like they were trying to do what Star Wars did with the Clone Wars, which was a show for little kids that was all about in between these two movies that they may or may not have seen. But I'll be honest, I have no idea how it plays for someone who doesn't know Voyager.
Yeah.
I would hope that it would make people want to go watch Voyager.
the finale of the first season of Prodigy in particular, I kept telling people, you must go and watch this. For one, it was beautifully animated. All the different starships that we know flying around, battling each other, including the Enterprise. It was just brilliantly done. It was a lot of episodes to get through if you didn't know, but the finale was just. I tell you what, there's a lot of episodes. How many people keep complaining there isn't enough? Why don't we do 24 episodes? So they dropped 20 episodes of Prodigy and nobody watched it. But I'm with you. I thought Prodigy was some of the best. I just despaired at the way they did it. They should have done it more like Lower Decks.
Yeah.
Just aimed at a bit more of a wider audience rather than doing some of the Cartoon Network.
Yeah, I was surprised Netflix didn't want to hold on to it. I mean, I like I mentioned to you when we were chatting once, I don't know if that was a casual, like, part of the merger. Like, maybe there was something they couldn't, like it was in some kind of limbo. But I would have thought Netflix would want to hold on to anything with Star Trek in the name. But
yeah, my understanding from someone I spoke to was basically it was part of they were supposed to pick up a season 3. The deal was basically, right, you can have this. Will you pay for a season 3? We'll pay for a season 3 if it does well. It didn't. So the contract sort of went, okay, well, and they lost all of it. And Prodigy didn't want to then pay for Prodigy beyond that once they decided they weren't going to bother with it. So it's as simple as that, really.
Well, who knows? We're in a brave new world of Paramount Skydance. So who knows what the future will hold? A fresh start. But yeah. So going back to Academy then. Yes. Yeah. How do you? How do you feel about it?
Well, I like that it's in 32nd century because I like the starships and all that sort of thing. So that was the thing about the last couple of seasons of Prodigy. I actually quite liked. We got the Nog and we got the things like that. And
you mean Discovery, not Prodigy?
Discovery, sorry.
Yeah.
The last couple of seasons of Discovery, which is a show I don't like. But I did like that.
What'd you think of the transporter badges?
Well, they had them in the last couple of the last movie, didn't they? So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I've got questions, but whatever.
Yeah, we've seen that technology before, though, so I can't really moan about it as we've had it before. But we have these massive transporter machines, and then somebody figures out how to make it like that. It's on par with transwarp transporters for me. I'm just like, okay, that's a cop out, but okay. They did it because they had to for the story, but yeah. The thing I think the thing I'm going to like about Academy is that it is set in the future and it does feel like a fresh start for the Federation and like the timeline. I just hope they don't do a burn because that's stupid, or a giant anomaly that destroys planets because that was kind of stupid. And actually, I really like season 5 on the whole, even though they massively overpowered the. I forgot the name. I got
the Breen.
Breen. They massively overpowered the Breen. But other than that, I really enjoyed that season. I actually quite liked it, except for the end that fell off the cliff like a lemming. Other than that, I thought it was really good.
Yeah. Speaking of the burn, there is a comic book coming out that is going to be set during the burn, and also James T. Kirk is going to be resurrected in part of the story. I have no idea what it's about, but my colleague Sean told me about it, and I'm intrigued. I'll be honest, I'm intrigued.
I'm assuming this is building up towards Kirk returning, and maybe it's for Academy. I can't find out. They've talked to Kirk and Janeway about returning for something. So maybe it's going to be Academy. It might be the only thing that saves Academy because, well, I think, are we going to talk about that in a bit? What's going on at the moment? Or do you want to talk about that now? Skydance coming in.
Oh, yeah, we can talk about that if you want to start that off. Tease the Strange New World review. Make the gang in the chat wait.
Make it wait. They'll do as they're told. But yeah, we're waiting. Again, my understanding is that Skydance are starting to talk to Secret Hideout already, or executives from Skydance are talking to people. It won't be very high, but they're already starting to talk about, right, basically, if we renew this contract, what do you want to do? You need to pitch to us what you're doing. The thing that I know has annoyed, I'm not going to say Skydance because it's obviously a big company, but it's annoyed a couple of people that I've got to speak to that they keep dropping things publicly, Secret Hideout. So they've dropped, well, I say they dropped this Archer story, but they didn't actually do that. That wasn't Secret Hideout that did that. But they've been teasing that they want to do this and they want to do that, and then they're going to pitch it. And I know a couple of people at Skydance are sort of like, we're having that conversation at the moment, and they're trying to get the fans on board with what would they want to do. And actually, you know what? We're a bit early for that. And actually, even Akiva Goldsman said it at San Diego Comic-Con. If you want us to do year one, you need to start telling Paramount. And apparently, Skydance didn't like that. Or some individuals at Skydance didn't.
Oh, I mean, that is a classic move. I mean, that's, that's why you'll get stories like when people are testing for Bond or something. They'll leak it to the press to see if they can get, fan reaction. And sometimes it backfires because people will be like, ooh, hell no. So it's a risky move. But I think that, I've heard that Paramount, even the old regime, was not fond of people talking about legacy even. There was a guy from one of the trades who I think it was Variety reached out to me on social media to ask, because I'd been writing about legacy, if anyone from Paramount had asked me to stop, because apparently he had heard that people were being told by Paramount PR to stop writing about legacy so much. No one ever told me anything. So I said no. Huh?
Yeah, Secret Hideout were trying to do a project. Then they wanted Jerry Ryan and a couple of other people to appear in it, but it wasn't going to be legacy because they lost Metalis. So they wanted to do something a little different, but it never got off the ground. So I said no, that's why. So I assume that was why. So they wanted to try and diffuse a little bit of the legacy, so then they could do this other project without people.
I don't have sources. I don't have sources like you, Jay, but I did talk to someone incredibly close to Picard and Legacy that told me that, just in sort of a general way, Alex Kurtzman was totally cool with Legacy, but it was Paramount that was like, we don't want two Enterprise shows at the same time.
Yeah.
And
well, they've done that before. They've done that type of thing before. Yeah.
And then there was just, of course, because of Picard season 3, Kevin Feige, a huge Star Trek nerd, was like, come here, Terry Metalis. And, that's sort of why that happened. It wasn't so much like Paramount was like, get out of here, Terry. We don't want you, at least as far as I understand.
No, it wasn't, was it? It's just that they didn't have a show for him and Disney picked him up. So,
although Vision Quest is done filming, so who knows?
I think they've signed him on for something else, haven't they? As well, they've got 2 or 3 projects for him, I think.
Oh, really?
Isn't he doing a movie next? I think is he doing a remake of Witch Mountain?
I know that one didn't. That one's not going to go. I know he's right. I remember he was writing a remake of Enemy Mine, an '80s movie with I remember Lou Gossett, and I don't remember who else.
Wasn't it Dennis? Oh,
was it Dennis Quaid?
Dennis Quaid. I want to say it was Dennis Quaid, but now I'm doubting it now because Dennis Quaid that old?
I think so.
He looks that old. But yeah, that was. I say I might be putting 2 and 2 together there with Legacy. To be fair, a little bit, but I know they were trying to do something else. So they were trying to take some of the air out of the sails for Legacy, but it didn't work. Yeah. The fans just desperately want Legacy. I know. I've spoken to one person at Skydance that said we would really love to do Legacy, but I think they're thinking as a way to restart Star Trek now. But we'll have to see what they decide. But my understanding is basically they're going to talk to Secret Hideout between now and Christmas, and then see what happens. So basically, they've got till Christmas to pitch them what they want to do, explain to them what the future Star Trek is, and then they'll make a decision on whether they. Which to me, honestly, sounds very sensible.
Yeah.
Some of my people that watch my channel get frustrated, saying, "No, just get rid of him, and I'm just like, business don't work like that.
Yeah,
they're going to give them a conversation. They will let them say their 2 cents sort of thing and see where it goes.
I mean, I think it would be interesting if they were able to like keep Secret Hideout in the fold, but just make it no longer exclusive. I think again, I have liked much more of this new Star Trek than I have not. I know I may be in the minority in this group on that, but Yeah, but I think that there's, lots of potential there, but I think it's the same problem that happened in the Rick Berman era, because part of the reason, if Enterprise, those first seasons, had any struggles at all, it was because Brandon Braga, Rick Berman, all those guys had been doing it for 15 years. They were burnt out. And I don't understand this strategy, other than just people probably don't want to just keep working on Star Trek because it's Star Trek. Like, bring in new blood, have new ideas. I think part of the reason stuff like Lower Decks and Prodigy tend to stand out a bit is because the animation side is so different from the live action side. There is that kind of distance that it is allowed to have this sort of different tone and this sort of freshness to it. And I think that, I think that the live action stuff could happen there. It could happen with that. I'd love to see what other people have in mind. But I also, for example, I'm very curious about that comedy from Tawny Newson and Justin Simeon, because, people love to say, oh, the people making Star Trek aren't real fans. Well, if you've ever listened to a Lower Decks commentary, Tawny Newsom is a fan.
Oh, I mean, she adores Star Trek.
Drops references that I'm like hitting memory alpha, like, what the fuck is that?
I saw her in an interview and she dropped something, and I was actually, what shit, this girl knows her Star Trek.
Yeah.
It was just an interviewer asked her something. It was nothing. It wasn't Lower Decks. It was TNG or DS9 or something. And she just boom straight on, just talking about it. I was just like, that's impressive. This girl knows her Star Trek. I worry about a workplace sitcom based on Star Trek, but only because I think Lower Decks works and can be funny and a bit silly because it's animated, so it's sort of like separate a little bit. But if you're going to do that and in live action, that then becomes, I know you hate the word canon. Well, no, I know you don't hate the word canon.
I hate the word
canon. I go on it a bit more than you do. If that goes into canon, I just don't think it's going to fit. And again, I think like a lot of Star Trek fans will hate it just because the way it's done, sort of thing, and unless they do it really, really cleverly.
Well, I mean, you're right about the animation thing, but I remember that with Lower Decks. I remember the first couple episodes of Lower Decks, people were all bent out of shape, and then by the end of that first season finale, the first season finale, I was like, holy shit, this is a real Star Trek episode. This is just a Star Trek episode, and it won people over. So maybe it'll happen with this, although. According to something I read from SDCC from Tawny Newsom, said that it seems like that's, if not dead, very stalled. It's the pilot's written, but I don't think it's even gone into production yet.
Yeah, no, I saw. No, it's not. Is it? Again, it's one of these things that they're waiting on to see whether they get a new deal or not. Yeah. That's one of the things they're sort of pitching to Skydance now. Like, well, there's basically been a pause for nearly a year. On anything. Basically, they announced 2 seasons of Academy. They've been able to announce they were always going to do 5 seasons of Strange New Worlds. So they just basically announced that. Other than that, they're on pause. They're just waiting, because they don't know if they're going to get the contract extended. And Secret Hideout don't know, so they can put something in production, but they don't know whether they'll be still doing Star Trek in a year. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's sort of the limbo that Star Trek fans are in right now with this merger, because Skydance, Paramount has a lot of they got a lot of problems. They got a lot of plates spinning, a lot of fires to put out. For better or worse, Star Trek is a functioning machine within Paramount right now. Yeah. So even if they end up extending Secret Hideout for like a year or so, especially if Starfleet Academy does the kind of numbers and gets the kind of reception they want. I could see them just punting on that while they handle all this other business, like consolidating Pluto TV and Paramount and like doing all these other things, and then turning their attention to Star Trek. Yeah.
I think they've got I totally agree. They've got much bigger fish to fry. And again, a lot of people will be commenting that's no Star Trek but no, they've got 12 billion quid. Actually, they've got 16 billion quid.
Is it 16? Yeah.
And they need to make this business profitable. That is one of the reasons I spoke to. Doesn't work for Paramount or Skydance, but he's not a lawyer. He's an accountant basically, but he doesn't call himself an accountant. But he does numbers and cash for the industry. And he was just pointing out that it would be a lot cheaper for them to bring Star Trek in house than to pay a third party and because obviously they've got to make money, they've got to make money. Secret Hideout is a business. I think it would be easy and cheaper to bring it in-house, and that's one thing that Skydance might consider, because that's what they're basically trying to do, is cut costs.
Yeah, I mean, and their bread and butter is producing shows and films. So,
yeah,
you know, I feel like whatever infrastructure they're bringing over would be equipped to do stuff like that.
I just think it'll be a different. I could see them keeping the deal. I just think it'll be a very different deal.
Yeah,
I think it'll be, and I could see Alex Kurtzman wanting to do other things. I actually think, again, I was talking to somebody who is relatively close on the Paramount side, and he says the contract that they've got is an absolute ball ache for Skydance if they just cut them off, because there's loads of things in there that, because Secret Hideout need to protect themselves. That's the only thing they've got in their business. So apparently this contract is a complete pain in the arse just to end.
Well, it was negotiated at a time when, like, you know, those huge deals were de rigueur. I mean, that was like when Shonda Rhimes got her many $100 million deal. J.J. Abrams got his $500 million deal and hasn't produced anything.
Not a damn thing. Partly because of COVID, we'll be fair.
Oh, sure. And partly because Warner Brothers, the new executives, they don't want to spend money on anything. Yeah. They just canceled Tom Cruise's movie. Yeah. He was going to do some scuba diving movie.
Yeah, 50 billion something in debt. Yeah. But they kept pitching him, and Warner Brothers just kept saying, "No, we don't like that."
Yeah. The one thing that I heard did get sort of on the way to production was this Justice League Dark adaptation they were going to do. Yeah. And then they brought in James Gunn, and he was like, "Nope, cancel all that stuff. We're doing our own thing."
Yeah, there's a related Batman. Yeah. As well, that also got, but that was earlier in the deal. They were doing. Actually, I think that Batman thing got as far as being greenlit, but then it just never happened.
Yeah. But, so I think you're right that the deal would maybe be less exclusive, and plus, you know, Alex Kurtzman produced that "Now You See Me, Now You Don't" movie that's coming out. So I imagine, you know, he would, after 10+ years of doing Star Trek, you know, whether he wants to stick with it or not, he probably wants to do other things too. So, you know, that could be sort of how the deal works, even if it's just a safe saving measure. You know, it's like, oh, they're going to do some little Star Trek, but we're going to have these other people also do Star Trek.
Yeah, I think
I'd say the more the merrier.
Yeah, I just think it's when Kathleen Kennedy got asked to step aside. We'll just put it that way. But then, as a sweetener, she got an exclusivity deal, so she can, anything she sort of proves is they've got first look, and she's basically got, you go do other things, and if we like it, we'll buy it. And I think they'll do something similar with Kurtzman. They'll say, look, we don't want to do Star Trek anymore, but we'd love to still work with Secret Hideout. What you got, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's an apt comparison, because I think that the, you know, people, and, you know, maybe people that I'm talking to right now, sometimes tend to talk about Alex Kurtzman the same way people talk about Kathleen Kennedy, which is very selective in that, like, you know, Mike McMahon is great for Lower Decks. The Hageman brothers and Aaron Waltke are great for Prodigy. And, you know, this thing in Strange New Worlds that I don't like, well, that's Alex Kurtzman. This thing in Discovery, I don't like, oh, that's Alex Kurtzman. Like, it's sort of a catch-all thing. You know, and that's sort of what the figurehead, the studio head, whatever you want to call it. I mean, that's part of their job, is to take the brunt of that. But, you know, from people that I have talked to that have worked on Strange New Worlds, and again, I'm not doing new stuff. I'm going, hey, I saw this episode. It was great, you know, in DMs and stuff. Yeah. Kurtzman has a couple meetings, but his attention is, for better or worse, on Starfleet Academy. So Strange New Worlds is just Henry Alonso Myers, Akiva Goldsman, and, you know, Bill Wolkoff, David Perez,
more and more being involved.
Yeah,
on a lower level, sort of thing.
If they should, whatever they do, bring in Frakes. Like, make him sort of like the Peter Safran to whatever James Gunn they've got for Star Trek, because you know, he just, even if he doesn't direct a thing, just his energy and just his institutional knowledge, I think, makes stuff better. I mean, again, to mention again the Lower Decks commentaries, there are a couple episodes of Lower Decks where Frakes is just there. He has nothing to do with the episode. They just like, come do a commentary with us.
Well, he is. I think he is actually like Mr. Star Trek at the moment. He really knows his stuff, and I love him as a director. I think he's a really good director. I think he did a great job with Picard season 3. Your point about Kurtzman, though, and I am quite negative about the creativity of Kurtzman, in that it seems that anything he's done that he had sort of creative control on is the stuff I don't like. It was like he was far more involved in the first couple of seasons of Discovery, and those are the seasons that I have real problems with. He was way more involved in the first and not so much the second season, I think, of Picard.
Right.
Am I saying that right? And the first season of Picard was an absolute shit show. It was beyond bad. It made no sense. And you take a beloved character like Picard and turn him into an android. I just think you're just an idiot. And then that is such a bad decision. They knew it, and they just didn't mention it again, except for one line in Picard season 3, which I thought Metalis did really well, where they almost like took the piss a little bit because they realized it was a really bad mistake, I think. But it does feel like everything that Metalis is involved in creatively, I don't like. And then you get something like Lower Decks.
Kurtzman, not Metalis.
Kurtzman. Kurtzman. Oh, God's sake. I'm like brain for names.
If Terry was watching, he was just like, what did I do, Jay?
Yeah. Well, no. Terry Metalis wrote season 2.
Absolutely.
I've got problems with that, to be honest.
Well, so what's interesting is my fellow University of Pittsburgh Panther, Michael Chabon, he wrote much of the first 2 episodes of Picard, because that whole season was supposed to be in the alternate 25th century. Yeah. That was the plan. And ironically, when they brought in Terry Metalis and I think Akiva Goldsman to help out before Michael left to adapt a Cavalier and Clay show that never happened, the idea was to send them back in time because location shoots would be cheaper than building all these sets. And then COVID happened, and it wasn't cheaper. And so I think I forget how the breakdown went. And this was in I forget where I heard this. It was either the Art of Star Trek book or maybe a commentary, but I think it was Akiva Goldsman who wrote much of the Picard Mother stuff. And then Terry Metalis and Chris Monfett and all those guys were working on the sci-fi Borg plot of it all.
I'd forgotten about the Mother stuff. I hated that as well. The whole second season of Picard started brilliant, bloody awful, almost ended well except the whole Dratty thing. But it was just disappointing. I was so excited. I think that's it. I need to go back and watch it again, really, because maybe it wasn't as bad as I think. But have you ever gone to a movie and you're just so excited, you're so looking forward to it, it's going to be awesome, and it can only disappoint at that point?
No, I mean, in a way, but mine is the opposite, because I remember when I first went to the Avengers movie in 2012, I went in going, this is going to be rubbish. There's no way they can pull this off. It's going to stink.
I did that with Galaxy. God,
yeah. I was like, I'm gonna buy the ticket to support the next attempt. And and I went in there with these low expectations, blown away. So I don't know, maybe I subconsciously do that. Maybe I keep my expectations low so that I don't have that happen.
For me, there's a million films over the years that I've been disappointed in the cinema and love it when I watched it the second time. I thought, oh my God, this is way better than I remember.
Well, I think Star Trek ages well. We talked about this before. I like Discovery season 1 and 2 fine when I first watched them. And you know, when I review stuff, I'll watch the episode one time, because even though I'm a critic, I cannot turn off my fan brain the first time I'm watching a Star Trek. And so then I'll watch it again before I write the review. And then that would be so that was the last time that I would have watched a given episode. So before season 5 of Discovery, I did my first proper rewatch, my first time watching again, knowing that Lorca was from the Mirror Universe and knowing what was coming. And the second time through, the stuff that annoyed me the first time, barely noticed. I noticed a lot more foreshadowing and things that made sense, which is like when we last spoke, I said they should have just told us Lorca was from the Mirror Universe in the beginning, you know? But I think that might happen with Picard, especially. I don't know if you read the Making It So memoir from Patrick Stewart, but the Picard mother thing, there's a real life allegory with Patrick Stewart there. Like his, I wrote about it for CBR. He had a family situation that was, that storyline was apparently very personal to him. So
just a bit boring for the rest of us, I'm afraid. Bit confusing as well. It's quite hard to follow. But
well, and again, it's that trickery stuff. They set us up to think that it was his dad that was like abusive or whatever, and then it was the big reveal that, oh no, she was, you know, troubled, and Picard was the one who let her out, and she took her own life. Like sometimes, like when I was at the University of Pittsburgh, I got to have a kind of group lunch with the writer Chuck Palahniuk, Fight Club and Teeth and all that.
Yeah.
And he said something that I don't know if it's his or something he picked up, but it's really great writing advice, I think. You can tell an odd story or you can tell a story oddly. Rarely can you do both. And I think the big problem with some of these Star Trek shows and some of these even Star Wars and even some of the Marvel shows is they try to tell an odd story oddly. And that is why people brush up against it.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think I know we're going to go through episode by episode, but I think that's possibly where I have a problem with episode 4, is that maybe I need to watch it again with a little less. I think it was me and you that discussing it, weren't we? And saying, no, on this level and this level, you've got to go into a bit more. Yeah, but I only watched it on this level, and it pissed me off. But it says, and so maybe I need to watch it again a little bit more, with a little bit more knowledge, maybe.
Yeah,
it'll probably still annoy me. I remember doing what you said, though, with Picard, and I did it with Picard season 3. So I watched each episode, and I just went nuts. I just like, this is the best Star Trek ever, and the nostalgia really overtook me. I then watched it again, and all of the little mistakes just really jumped out at me, and that's what ended up annoying me. And I'm just thinking, oh, God, I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
I remember speaking to somebody who says, you got to just stop with the minutiae. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, yeah, but it does to me. It's got to be logical, or it doesn't, or I really get it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not like some of these people that are like bloody up here with like every little thing. He's got the wrong accent. I'm like, oh, piss off.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I'm a bit more like in the middle there. Like, I think there's a line basically that you can and shouldn't go over. But I think
you're not alone. There's a couple of Star Trek mutuals on social media that I have seen making sort of, and they like Strange New Worlds just fine, but they're saying things like, look, either canon matters or it doesn't, and canon, Star Trek canon is like I forget, I think a guy, Phil Murphy on Twitter said that Star Trek canon is like a Jenga tower, and that as you like move stuff around, it gets a little more precarious, and it can fall over. And I said to him, as I've said to you, that I think that there are ways to reconcile that. I mean, for me, my preference is that look, using the way that they've depicted time travel to say that the release order is the true chronological order.
Yeah.
And then, but I've seen you say in recent videos that like these certain things in the episodes are making it seem obvious to you that Strange New Worlds is its own timeline. And I know some people use that as a way to like delegitimize Strange New Worlds as Star Trek or other it from the bigger fan community. I don't think that's what you're doing, and I think that it's great because if this being an alternate timeline allows you to have fun with it and not worry about why the Gorn look like they do, or why they know what the Gorn are, that's a win. That is an absolute win, because this is all pretend.
Yeah. That's the other thing. It's a TV show, people. You need to calm a little bit. I get some very aggressive comments sometimes. You just think, okay, I've not insulted your wife. Calm down.
I think some people love Star Trek more than their wife, I'm sure.
Well, she might be watching.
But I will say this, and maybe this is a sort of a segue into the episode discussion. As much as I love to defend and enjoy Strange New Worlds, I really have brushed up against the Gorn thing. The Gorn thing is very hard for me to reconcile. It
is just one of those. I think I've said to you before as well, with the canon stuff, I actually don't think Strange New Worlds in particular, I don't know about Discovery and Picard, I think they're maybe a bit more guilty of it. I don't think Strange New Worlds is actually broken canon as much as some people think, because I think they get around it quite a lot.
They occupy the spaces between canon statements.
And like there's the Kirk thing, right? He doesn't actually say we've never met to Pike, but the whole sort of point of Menagerie was
Yeah.
that Kirk was sort of like, you can't do this, and Spock was like, he's my friend.
Yeah.
And so I think Kirk being in it so much takes away from that episode a little bit. But if you actually watch the episodes, Kirk doesn't really spend any time with Pike.
No, and
not really.
So I did this because I wrote about this a while back when Paul Wesley showed up. Yeah, because what he says to what's his name, the Commodore.
Oh yeah. I know who you mean.
He's like, have you ever met Captain Pike? And he says, Kirk says, either like, we met after he was promoted to fleet captain, or we first met after he was promoted to fleet captain. And then he says nothing. Now, I admit that you can look at that and easily imply, oh, that is the time they met.
Yeah.
And then Strange New Worlds has Pike being promoted to fleet captain for a refinery fixing job. And he's like, hello, Kirk, nice to meet you. And then it's like, all right, that checks off the canon box. And there's now all this room for them to meet here, there. And there is a couple scenes, or at least one scene, where Kirk talks to Pike, and he does call him Chris in a way that feels, to me, more familiar than having just met him once after a fleet captain promotion.
Remembering he's not a captain at that point. He's still a still a commander now, isn't he? He's not a captain.
No, in Menagerie. In Menagerie, I think I think it's when they're deciding whether or not to let the Talosians take him.
Yeah.
And I think he's like, is this what you want, Chris, or something like that? And just as you can read into that statement of, oh, we met him as fleet captain, I feel like I was able to easily read in like, oh, maybe they are more familiar than we know. Now, why would Kirk keep that quiet?
It's just, I think that's the thing. But I think I said to you, it might not be breaking the rules, but it's definitely breaking like the spirit of the rules.
Sure.
And it's again, I think I said to you about this latest episode, which we'll get to in a minute, but you have to think about it on all these different levels. And I'm saying, I'm not sure that's fair on fans, because if something looks like a duck, it might be wearing a duck costume. But if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, 9 times out of 10, it's a flipping duck. And there's a few of these episodes where I'm like, it's almost like the fans have to make excuses for Kurtzman and stuff to try and...
How is that any different than TNG or TOS, though?
We had to, at times, I do a TOS in particular, the canon was loose, let's say. But I mean, they didn't have science people on there and consultants and things. It was basically Gene Roddenberry. So, I mean, TNG messed with canon a couple of times, but I don't think they actually, were blatant with it many times. And we've got 24 episodes and you're doing what was it, 900 something silly. It's a duck. There's going to be problems, but they've only just done 25 episodes of Strange New Worlds, and you can already point to, well, there's this and this that don't track what is. They've got more time to focus on the story, I suppose, whereas TNG was sort of like, I mean, I'm so serious with this, but Data was... they were getting... Brent Spiner was getting scripts the day before they were filming. It was
there was a video of yours I was watching where you're talking about. What you were thinking of was a Fistful of Datas one week, and then the next week he got Masks, which was another heavy Data episode.
I think it was on...
Season 7.
Yeah. No, I think I saw him talking on Inside of You, I think was that. It might have been this Katie Sackhoff interview he did.
Oh, yeah, there was a Katie Sackhoff one. That's in my to-watch list.
It's like, I love that, how they do that with 24 episodes in a season, and they sort of have the odd episode here and there just to give people a break.
Yeah.
And then Brent Spiner was like, I got 40 pages one day and then 40 pages the next. Like, what the hell? But that's how it was done back then. Now they've got all this time. Scripts are done months in advance. I think maybe I'm not as willing to give him a break.
Sure. Well, and I think the part of the problem is, in a way, they care about. And look, this is going to maybe make people crazy, but the people doing Star Trek today, they care so much. They care more about canon than any of the TNG era writers ever did. Like, to them, there were certain things that, like, they had some canon stuff that they would look into, but like the Klingon language was often very spotty. The certain timelines didn't add up. You know, it wasn't, unless it was something like Trials and Tribulations or something that was sort of directly tied to Star Trek's past, that they didn't have time to really dig into the archives and get all that straight, you know, because it was, you know, they were producing the shows as they were airing.
I would say that the TNG was writing a lot of that as it went, because we only, at that point, we only really had the 2 seasons of the original series, and was it 3?
It was 3. Well,
3. I always get that
it was
wrong.
3, but Gene Roddenberry, when he was developing TNG, tossed out a lot of season 3, the stuff that was made after he stepped away and Gene L. Coon left, and the animated series. He did not consider them canon. Now that stuff, of course, is canon. Spock's brain and Spock's a lot, and you know, all that stuff is considered canon. So
remind me of the Spock's brain when we get onto the 4th episode. We'll come back.
Okay.
But all right, let's. It's a mid-season thing. We're already 40 minutes into a video that I promised would only be an hour. It's going to go over. But
oh, good.
First episode.
Yes.
The Gorn. Right. I'm not a fan. So, I think in your notes you put it wrapping up the Gorn. Surely they've got to come back to the Gorn at some point in this season. Surely.
Well, I may or may not be able to talk about that.
No, don't get yourself into trouble. But it's not a finale. It's not done.
Well, I mean,
we've now got a new villain. It's clearly not done.
I will say this: the end of that episode, they quite literally put the Gorn to bed. You know, well, I think that the
from Best of Both Worlds.
Yeah, I think I think the point of that episode was to, you know, because there's that moment where Pike says, you know, something about like, oh, you know, we won, but maybe we've just bought a problem for the future or something, which I think is pretty much a clear indicator that for the most part, I feel like the Gorn may not be a big part of Strange New Worlds narrative anymore. Yeah. Are there possibly some individual
be hibernating?
Yeah,
hibernate for years on end, sort of thing. Is that the point? So
yeah, but I mean, who knows? Maybe there's a few random Gorn flitting about the galaxy that might pop up. I don't know, but you know,
the new theory. I saw the new theory.
Yeah,
that Pike's girlfriend, whose name I've now forgotten,
Marie Battelle.
Thank you. Is actually the Gorn that we then see fighting Kirk karate chop. Because she's turning or something, and that's why she looks different. Well, that's that Gorn.
I hope so. Oh, that would be so funny. Oh, I love it. I mean, that's even better than Trelane going, forget the Gorn.
Yeah. It's a theory.
Yeah. I will, by way of a tease, I will say that people who have for whom the end of Hegemony Part 2 is not enough to sort of reconcile the Gorn problems, there may or may not be one more attempt in this season to perhaps address that particular issue in a way that I found very clever.
Okay,
if that happens or if it doesn't, I wouldn't know. I'm just saying I expect it.
No, I know. I'm saying, sometimes it's just a dream.
Yeah.
When these things happen. I think I dreamt that. I actually say things. I've said
they deepfake Spock waking up in TOS style sets like, oh, I just had a crazy dream. That's the series finale.
I've said things on videos before now and then realized afterwards, I think I dreamt that.
Jay, I want to ask you this because the Gorn of it all, that's fine. But there was another thing that, like, again, people who are really into Star Trek canon and behind the scenes stuff that maybe bristled with. How did you feel about the prayer stuff at the end of Hegemony Part 2?
Religion was never really in Star Trek very often.
Well, human religion. I mean, alien religion, like the Bajorans and all that.
Bajorans and things, yeah. To be honest, I barely noticed. So I wasn't excited or disappointed by most of this episode anyway.
Okay.
I found a lot of it quite difficult to follow.
Okay.
I think it required quite a few leaps of logic when the Enterprise was getting swarmed. And then, and in earlier episodes, they really struggled. In this episode, they just seemed to like shields up and just kept going. I was like, how many times is this ship going to get? This ship is well built, damn it. It breaks in an instant if the story demands it, but in this instant, very well done. I didn't really have any feelings about it either way.
Yeah. Well, I kind of dug it because it tied back to that bit from Those Old Scientists where Pike talks about having the arguments with his father and stuff. And the line that made it all work for me is that right before he does that thing that I think anyone who was raised with religion maybe does when things are really scary. He was like, all right, Dad, you win. And then does a little prayer. I thought that was a really good character moment. You know what I mean? Because not everything is about the canon or the universe. I mean, the people in these shows, they don't watch Star Trek. You know, that's just, they just live in this world. And I thought that was an interesting canon moment. And, you know, I would like to learn more about Pike's relationship with his father. I think that would be a really cool thing for like season 4, season 5 to touch. You know, I'll be honest. I love the actor playing Captain Patel. I think she does a great job. But I do not care about Marie Patel. You know, I mean, I'm glad that she got better, but if she hadn't, I would have been okay.
I don't think she's better. There's stuff going on. Yeah, you don't. Well, no, in episode 5, it straight up tells us she's not better. So no, I have a problem with the Gorn because I just think I have this horrible feeling sometimes that these writers just like go, let's do. But when they make them go to sleep, either they paint themselves into a corner and thought, crap, how do we defeat this enemy now? Which happens in episodes all the time. I actually think Best of Both Worlds, they painted themselves into a bit of a corner and thought, oh, crap, we've built this up a bit much. How the hell do we get out of this?
Have you ever heard the story of like Ronald D. Moore's first day working as a writer? It was in between Best of Both Worlds season finale. And he said he walked in and met, not Michael Piller, but whoever it was that was writing that episode. And he turned to him and he was like, so how do they beat the Borg? And he kind of laughed like, oh, and he's like, no, I'm asking, how do they beat the Borg?
Yes, no, seriously. They're really powerful. What are we going to do here? Yeah. So we made him go to sleep.
Yeah.
They just did the same with the Gorn. It's just like, but I don't know if that was that they thought, let's do a Best of Both Worlds, or if they thought, oh, crap, how do we get out of this? Oh, do you remember when they did in the Best of Both Worlds? Let's do that. I don't know what it's like to write these series. I have tried to write a sci-fi story in my head, but in my head, I've got a trilogy of books I'm going to write at some point. I've got the whole story mapped out in my head. I just thought they might do that. And it's, but they should for a 10-episode season. They should know how they're going to defeat it when they build it up.
Well, as someone who also, again, I've never written television, but I've written some stories. And I will tell you this, I also am a big planner. I like to plan out the outline and stuff. And I can't tell you how many times I've gotten like a third of the way through and I was like, oh, this whole outline isn't going to work at all. Like I either follow it and it's bad. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I know that what they would do, again, typically the way it works is the writers get together, they break the season, break the idea of like, okay, this episode, and then they deal out the episodes to individual writers. For example, Hegemony Part 2 was written by Davey Perez, who I think is a great writer. He wrote one of my favorite Strange New Worlds episodes, Under the Cloak of War. And, you know, because the whole bit with Mbega in the like forward operating base, it reminded me so much of Iraq. Like the guy that Clint Howard played, I knew like 4 guys like that when I was in Iraq, you know? I mean, that
is a good episode, to be fair.
Yeah, so I thought, you know, I think that that's how they come up with this. And then of course they bring everything back and everyone takes passes rewriting it. And, you know, so it is a sort of a group effort.
Yeah. I've seen them with the massive whiteboards and breaking everything down into the story. character development and all that sort of thing.
And I think with the Gorn, they had to do something to press the pause button, which again is a problem they created by if they had just made the Blorn, or some different alien species that was just like this, it would have been different. The
problem is that's the problem with doing a prequel, though, isn't it? You can't do that because, and this is one of the reasons why I really dislike prequels, because I feel it takes away from the fear that they might fail. Because from TNG that it's all going to be okay.
Well, I don't know about you, but I was worried about Erica in this episode.
I'm worried about Erica anyway.
Yeah.
My favorite character, and we know some of these characters are definitely going to, you'd think die or get promoted and sent to another ship. But I think they'll just kill him. They've already started just killing a couple of them. Chief Engineer. I really like the Chief Engineer character, the albino.
Pelia.
Yeah.
Hemmer. If
Hemmer.
you would have,
I really liked Hemmer.
One of the first articles I wrote for CBR, it's kind of funny because you can tell I'm just mad. The headline is Strange New Worlds made a big mistake killing Hemmer. And it's just me being mad that, why ain't our friend dead?
Yeah. I like his character. I thought he's one of the best characters in the season.
Oh, I loved him so much. Yes.
But, I don't know if they're going to do that a bit more.
Yeah.
But things like bringing in Scotty, I had to Google it because his Scottish accent is quite bad. And he's Scottish. So I don't know how that works, but I actually quite like his character. He's grown on me, I have to admit.
Yeah.
Over the season, he's grown on me. I still can't. Oh God, I can't remember. I'm terrible with names. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, Martin Quinn.
Yeah, no, the current chief of engineering.
Pelia, played by Carol Kane.
Yeah, I loved her in Scrooged when she played a nutty tooth fairy thing.
Yeah.
Or future ghost of present.
Yeah, ghost of present.
But I can't stand her in this series. Really? I can't. I hate how she talks, and it just does my head in. And even though it's 90%, I'm like irritated. Then she does something brilliant that I feel really funny, and then irritated. Like at the end of this episode when she does that, this is all of episode 5. This is all doom, and the future is dark, and blah blah blah. Shall I do that again for camera? The way she does that is just glorious, and I loved it. But then she'll irritate me again. And it's,
I think part of it, the one thing I also think that sometimes fans forget is that, these characters, people are annoying. I think she's supposed to be a bit grating. I think that's why they cast Carol Kane, because if you love her from Scrooged or Taxi or Kimmy Schmidt or Gotham or all these other things that she's done, you're going to see Carol Kane and be like, I love Carol Kane. And then Pelia can be annoying and you're not as bothered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that Pelia is supposed to be
a little annoying,
a little off-putting. I mean, look at the way number one interacts with her, and the way that she and Scotty, the way she gets under Scotty's skin.
Yeah, she unnerves people, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's a utility for characters like that, especially because this is in the TOS era, it's before the Roddenberry box. People were not as evolved to the thing like in TNG where they're like, oh, there's no petty disagreements, stuff like that. I think this is...
Well, unless the episode demanded it, and then they could get pretty petty. I always laugh at the conspiracy episode, my favorite episode, season 1. And they've got this alien thing, and it's taken over people, and it's like no attempt at communication. It went to Kirk, Star Trek. Oh, don't like it. Die.
There's the TOS episode with the smoke monster, Obsession. Red Jack. Yeah. Is it Red Jack? No, that's a different one. I'm mixing up 2 episodes, but yeah, it's the one where Kirk. It's the one that introduces that Kirk was on the Farragut, and this smoke monster killed us, and they determined hey, this thing's sentient, and Kirk's like, we're gonna kill it. We are gonna kill it. We're gonna kill it so bad. Yeah. There's no studying it. There's no.
There was a Star Trek song, wasn't there? It was a Star Trekking, and then shoot to kill. That was definitely Kirk's philosophy sometimes, but I think that's an unfair thing. Anyway, first episode, kind of forgettable for me. I did a review on it straight after watching it. Can't really remember, because I think I struggled to follow it a little bit. And part 1 before it to remind myself, and I didn't love it.
I mean, like I said, I liked it in that it seems like a way to wrap up the Gorn of it all. And I mean, again, I think that look, the spaceship stuff, that was cool, man. You're never gonna make me hate the Enterprise doing some cool spaceship stuff. I thought the inside of the Gorn ship stuff was interesting. Did I need to know what Gorn ships were like on the inside? No.
Yeah. It's like somebody'd watch The Matrix and watch Alien, though, and just go, well, put those two together and that'll do. It reminded me of other things, which is, I'm being unfair because I'm a massive Stargate fan.
Yeah.
And they did loads of episodes. It was like, oh, they're doing Lawnmower Man, or they're doing. So, yeah. Well,
and like I said, the thing that I like best about Hegemony Part 2 was the character stuff, like the stuff that happens with Erica, the way that Lon, rallies the troops in the Gorn ship, the stuff with Scotty, establishing that Scotty is this genius but lacks confidence, and and the thing with Pike and Battelle, like the emotion of it all. I like the character stuff. I think that it sets up a lot of great arcs for the season, but I am also personally happy that if we never see a bunch of Gorn ships again in Strange New Worlds, I will be happy as a Rigelian clam.
Yeah, I do know where you're coming from with that, and they had to they can't defeat them because they still exist in TNG period. So I mean, but I was convinced. And somebody's told me I'm not right, and they explained it. But I was absolutely bloody convinced that you see a Gorn sat in the background at Starfleet Command, and
in the one when like Kirk goes to in 4 when he's getting yelled at when they're doing when he gets demoted.
I think it was 4. I thought it was the motion picture, but actually I've been going back through watching them, and it's not. But it was scene 4 when he's getting yelled at, and it looks like a Gorn. It makes noises like a Gorn, but apparently it's not a Gorn. Apparently it's another lizard race. And I'm looking and goes, they just found the suit and put a guy in the Gorn.
100% that was supposed. Like, I mean, I'm sure that again, the canon nerds were like, no, that's actually a Blorgian, But on set they're like, hey, it's the alligator Kirk fought.
Yeah,
let's put him in there.
I think that's why they threw it in, because it was an Easter egg, what we call Easter eggs now. And we go, go on. So I thought, right, they must make peace with them at some point. But then you watch, which from the original episode, it was at the cage. Is that right?
Yes.
Terrible names. That would have made sense to me because you defeat them, but they're a spacefaring race. At some point, they have communication. Yes, it does. You're right. And they make peace, and they become. But now we know that they're really, really unpleasant, really violent, very aggressive. So you think, well, they can't make peace. So the only way to do it then is just to sort of figure out a way to just make them quiet, or that the Federation, they're not a problem, at least by the time we get to TNG era.
Yeah. Well, if you want to, if you'll indulge me in some maybe headcanon type leaps. I mean, let's not forget that in Arena, the whole point of the sort of conflict was that, the Metrons were judging humanity and Starfleet, but they were also judging the Gorn. And, the point of that episode was like, okay, you guys work on yourselves for 1,000 years or more, and then maybe we'll talk. I imagine it's the same for the Gorn, that, the Gorn are going to have to, they can't help their biology. They can't help the way they do things. And again, now, as it's created in Strange New Worlds for a villain, whatever, it's very hard for us to reconcile how they could make peace. But, like it or not, Picard season 2 found a way to make at least an offshoot of the Borg provisional Federation members. And that's what Star Trek is all about. Taking your enemies, making them your allies. And
don't get me started on the Dratty Borg.
Oh, I love the Dratty Borg.
We're peaceful Borg, honestly. And Drat, are you seriously telling me all of those thousands of Borg that you've got on that ship did it willingly?
Are you telling me that? I mean, come on, man. I mean, look, maybe it's because I'm an American and you know how shit's a little crazy over here. I 100% buy that there would be a large number of people who would be like, "Ooh, sign me up. I get them cool cyborg parts. Sign me up."
Yeah, I just like it. I love the idea that there's like an interview process. Dratty's there going, "Hello, so you would like to come on board? Right, sign this, fill in this questionnaire." No.
Do you guys have dental? Do you have dental insurance?
Yeah, medical. In America at the moment, that's very important. You got medical. I like that. All right then. So, Gorn make no sense to me. Kirk should have gone on that on the cage. Oh, it's a Gorn. But but I do like the Patel idea that actually the Gorn have all gone to sleep except for Patel.
Oh, that would be great. That'd be fun.
Episode 2.
Yeah.
The Trelawney episode, whether we like it or not.
I love that you keep calling him Professor Trelawney. It's Trelane.
Trelawney's the bloody one from I'm not good with names.
No, I know.
It's
the Squire of Gothos.
Yeah, it's an ongoing joke that I'm shit with names. So I remember I did a video over a year ago talking about how Scott Bakula was coming back to Star Trek, and there's loads of rumors trying to happen.
Scott Bakula?
Yeah, I know. Oh my God, I got so much grief. But actually, I might have done it on purpose. But at the time, my channel wasn't doing very well, so it was like I had these. I was always told just make one mistake in every episode, and you get loads of comments.
I wonder if Jolene Blalocky will come with him.
Yeah, we can, but hope. It's okay. So it's definitely Trelane.
Definitely Trelane. And when I wrote up my review of it, I didn't have access to like the official credits or anything like that. Yeah. And I thought they left it vague to give themselves a little bit of plausible deniability. But apparently in the credits and on the official websites, it's like, nah, this is Trelane, damn it. So they're all in. Trelane, it's Trelane, it's Q. Trelane is a Q.
Right. So why did Spock recognize him?
Oh, because they never saw actual Trelane. He always was like a different little alien guy.
Spock went down to the surface.
No. Face to face. In Wedding Bells Blues, Trelane presented as like an Andorian wedding planner and all these different aliens. I don't think they ever saw the actual guy.
I think at the end they did, didn't they? When they realized he was an
alien. Look, they don't come out and say, okay, he looks like Rhys Darby now. I read it as that he was always just projecting a different view, and he looks like Trelane for us.
How about the end, though, bit then when Q appears? Well, he doesn't Q, but he does his dead, and that's very similar to the end of the Square of Gothos.
Yes.
And he goes, now, you've been a very naughty boy. Stop it. Come home. You sit on the naughty step, which is exactly the same. I would have thought Spock would have gone, Spock would have gone, this is very familiar.
We don't see after the Squire, after he's like, I was going to win. After that, I think the episode just ends. I think maybe they all went up there and were like, Spock, isn't that just like what happened at the weird celebration when back in the Pike days? Yeah,
off screen.
Yeah.
You're having a drink later. Wait a second. This has happened before.
Yeah, I mean, now you raise an interesting point because again, I think the reality bending, memory altering goofiness that happens here, which by the way, here's the other thing that I love. I love that this whole thing happens just because Trelane was like, I don't like this Corby guy. He's a prat. It's a little
well done,
for you. But I love that is like that was perfect. Like that was a silly enough hook for me. And with the reality altering stuff, I buy. I'm not obsessed about like, oh, they would have been immediately like, hey, remember this, because I think we get into a problem that also happens more so with Star Wars fans, where they expect all the characters and all the things to have seen all the Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like, I remember there's a line in the last sequel movie where some characters talk about, like, and again, it's played for a joke. Does it work? Not really. But they remark about stormtroopers flying. And of course, everyone's in the comments like, well, actually, the clones have been flying in jetpacks since. And it's like, yeah, but none of these guys were in the. They don't know that. They didn't watch the prequels. You know.
I would agree with you, except to the point where it's the same character. So they would go. So you'd expect when it's Spock being involved in both.
Sure. Well, again, that's the thing. I think, and that's where So with that in mind, I think that to explain that why Spock didn't go, hey, you're the guy from Starbase One.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because the way that I read it was that he never actually saw Trelane as Trelane. He saw him as however Trelane was being projected into their minds.
See, that this is one point again, that as fans, we have to kind of like fill in the gaps and almost make excuses for them.
See, is that making excuses, or is it just because let me ask you this. The episode establishes that he doesn't look like Rhys Darby to everyone else, and then it never says, okay, now he does. So I'm curious as to why the episode has to remind us then, or explain, like,
they wanted to remake the Squire of Gothos, and they put that in.
It's not even close to a remake of the Squire of Gothos. There's no duel. There's no him performing and having dinner.
They've took that episode then and they wanted to bring that character into Strange New Worlds and didn't care how they did it.
I would say it is as much a remake of Squire of Gothos as it is a remake of every Q episode ever done.
I mean, that's fair.
You know,
that is actually very fair. Actually, it's like we really want to get this character in, and they've made him more Q than he was maybe in the Squire episode.
This is one of those episodes where I imagine that the writers of Strange New Worlds are just so sad. Because I bet they're like, oh, we're finally going to do it. Everyone's been talking about Trelane being a Q. They have that beta canon book where Trelane's a Q. We're going to tell them Trelane's a Q. And then they do it, and everyone's like, it's whack. Why is Trelane a Q? You know,
we know he's a Q. What are you on about?
Except we don't. Like, I mean, they famously, the TNG era people famously would not touch that because Gene Roddenberry did not want. It wasn't that he was like, don't confirm that. He always played it coy, like at conventions and stuff, because I think he thought it was a fun thing for fans to debate.
Yeah.
And so they never did it, and I think that they were trying to, like, you know, do something that would make fans happy, and of course, we're Star Trek fans. We're never happy.
Oh, no. Yeah, wait till we get to episode 5. Talking about things backfiring. I liked how they also confirmed that once the Q were actually like corporeal beings and they'd evolved, because I've done videos arguing that they were originally technological because of the Squire episode, and that they evolved. And there's that old Arthur C. Clarke comment that if a technology evolves to a certain point, it's going to appear like magic to And I just think that's what it is, and that's why the Q at least cautious of the Borg. If we know when he's concerned, you don't
provoke the Borg.
Yeah, and I think it's because on some level they are technologically based, and they're worried that the Borg will evolve to a point where they can actually threaten the Q, which at the moment they can't.
Yeah.
But I've met people. No, they're gods. No. So at least I feel like I won. I won that argument because it's canon now.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, because he says that he saw Corby on the old homeworld, right?
Yeah, the original homeworld. So I think I said to you about the last episode, don't you? There's super powerful beings in this last episode. I'm like, I want that to be the Q homeworld. But I don't think they'll ever mention it again. Whoever the good guys of this side of the story was, the villains are going to come in, I don't think. But there are other species.
I'd take that bet.
Yeah. Oh, you sneaky little bugger. Okay, then. Good. To be honest, they've got to. My argument was really being a bit more cynical. That I bet they bloody don't, but I'm glad they do or they might or might not, I should say, because
I don't know. I'm just saying I'd take that bet. I'm a gambler.
I'm not taking that bet because I know we've discussed this, but they need to because that's such a big open-ended question. And I'd love to know who that is. And I think there's 2 or 3 species that I think we've seen in Star Trek before that I think it could be.
Okay.
I'd
Well,
like
we're getting ahead of ourselves. That's episode 5.
Yeah,
we're on 2.
I like that sort of. I actually think that's a good. But we're getting into 5. Let's
Yeah.
go. First of all, did you actually enjoy episode 2 before we move on to 3?
Oh yeah, I thought it was a pisser. I thought it was really. I mean, I love Rhys Darby. I mean, from the second he said we're werewolves, not swearwolves in What We Do in the Shadows, I have loved everything Rhys Darby does. So again, I'm kind of in the bag for him already. But yeah, I thought it was pretty well done. I thought it was a good sort of funny episode. I thought it was a nice button on Spock's lingering feelings for Christine. I'm quite interested in seeing what it is about this Corby guy that has Christine so sprung that in 10 years she's, joining the Enterprise to try and track him down. I think that's interesting because that is a relationship that we know how it ends, but we don't know how it ends or why things are. Like, we knew that Christine and Spock, they'd probably get together and then they'd probably break up. And then that is why Christine and Spock have that unspoken thing in TOS. Which, that's all well and good. And I think that it adds layers to it. But like the Corby thing, like that, I think is something that can progress in a way that can surprise us still.
Yeah. Well, I actually quite like the actor. I quite like what they've done with him so far, particularly in the 5th episode. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I thought in this episode, I didn't quite see how punching each other got them out of the imagined world that had been created. I thought that was a bit weak, but they had to do it somehow. I loved Rhys Darby. I didn't love the episode, if that makes sense.
It does. I mean, I'm sure that I can see that, like, I wasn't hung up on the Squire of Gothos of it all. Like, I was not, I was grateful. I ever since Mariner said they have a kind of Trelane situation going on, I was like, oh, they're bringing him in. Oh, he's coming. He's coming. So, I mean, I don't know. I thought that it was fun. I like that, he's confirmed to Q. We got John Delancey he got a little check for this episode.
I did love that.
And
we got La'an and Spock dancing, and La'an dances. Oh, she's a sexy little minx.
Christina Chong, she is a very talented. She's singing, dancing, triple threat.
She's incredibly talented. Yeah. Oh, it is actually doing the tango and stuff. I mean, obviously it's the dance of love anyway, but it is kind of. And obviously Ethan Beck kept up. So
yeah. And I will say this too: a thing that always makes me sort of cringe and roll my eyes, but at the same time, like, I love it because it's such a corny staple of things, is when any show or movie has the "we all dance" scene. So that that was a little goofy, a little silly, but it fit with the episode. I think. Oh, we also got Erex. We got an Erex person. Oh yeah. In canon, being a bartender.
I saw that. Yes, the mixing drinks.
Yeah, I mean, we got him in Lower Decks, but
we've had
live action now.
Kitty Cat as well already, haven't we? So I saw. Where was it? Oh no, we had that in the movie anyway, didn't we? We had that in Star Trek 5 anyway.
Yeah,
we had the cat lady. Meow. And Spike.
That's right. I forgot about her.
Kirk threw her into I'm watching all the movies in order. I've got the Undiscovered Country, my favorite Star Trek in the original series, next.
So great.
So I'm burning through them all. I even enjoyed 5.
You'll never make me hate 5. But I remember going to see it, with my mom. I think we saw like Raiders of the Lost Ark the same day too. Like, we did a double feature. It's a great day. Or not Raiders of the Lost Ark. Last Crusade.
Oh, there you go. And the only thing I had with 5 is that you can tell the budget's not quite there. But other than that,
yeah. Oh, I mean, the effects are what kills it. Like,
yeah, but it's a funny episode. It's got one of the best starts.
The best friendship story of Kirk, Spock, and McCoy.
I love that. Barbecue beans. Oh, and DeForest Kelly is just astonishing in that scene.
Yeah.
Where he saves, he lets his dad pass away. There are some really, really good. It's really a shame that film has so much crap dumped on it. I would actually argue, okay, it might be the weakest of those 5 movies, but still better than everything New Trek does. Talking about that,
Yeah.
zombies.
Zombies. Yes.
Are you kidding me?
I mean, so let me ask you this. Earlier that you said you think Terry Matalas is quite a good Star Trek storyteller, yes?
Yeah, see, I've got all defensive because I'm going to zombies.
Yeah. Do you know what the first Star Trek story Terry Matalas sold was? It was the episode of the Enterprise with the Vulcans where they were zombies. It's not even our first zombies in Star Trek.
Yeah, but it was done better than this.
Was it?
Yeah, a little bit. But okay, Terry Matalas.
I mean, it was zombies in a spaceship. This was zombies on a planet.
Yeah, I don't think Terry. And this is me being really honest here. I've had an argument with Terry Matalas where he blocked me. I was arguing with him about the way he treated the Borg and how do you ruin the best villain in sci-fi. So he wasn't very happy with me. We made up afterwards.
Good.
Terry Matalas wrote most of a good chunk of the second season of Picard, and I thought it was terrible. And I actually think big parts of episode 3. I don't think he's the walk on water savior of Star Trek like some people do. So we'll put it that way. There are big problems with Picard season 3, but the nostalgia of it just washed over us. And I did go, yay! When
I was trying to jam you up there by saying that Terry Matalas did a zombie episode because I didn't even know if you remembered the Enterprise zombie episode.
I love Enterprise. I watched it about a year ago. I tell you, my favorite episode of Star Trek is Regenerations, the Enterprise episode with the Borg. It may be my favorite Star Trek episode ever. It's
a really good one. It's a really good one. It is a top notch. Yeah,
but the way the zombies were done in this was for a turn they did this like techno babble reason why they were zombies.
Yeah,
but it annoys me in this series. But I do have to remember they used to do this all the time in TNG, and I didn't mind it then. There's something. It's just like I've got so angry over time at Kurtzman. I've got to the point now where I can't let anything go, and I've got.
Honest to God, Jamie, I think that you are 100. I think you've landed on something very important, because I think there is an element where, even for me with the Gorn thing, because that's the thing that I get. I'm like, like, why does Spock see him? But I think there is this thing where back in the day, when we were talking about, like, when Kirk tells Khan he's been asleep for 200 years, and then like some episode later, they suggest that they're 800 years from the present day. You know,
the time frame in the original Star Trek series was a little fudgy in place.
They never actually. Do you know when the first time they confirmed the year in Star Trek?
Oh no, I don't know that.
It was the TNG episode where they wake up those humans, and that like that the drunk singer guy, Data tells him how long he's been asleep. And that was the first time they confirmed a specific year. Wrath of Khan. It
was always Stardate.
Yeah, and Wrath of Khan was the first time they confirmed 23rd century for TOS era.
Yeah, which is that makes sense.
So, I'm full of fun facts.
They were always fudging things back then. But you gotta. I don't put too much canon on the original series though, because they were doing things as they went along, and it. I don't worry about that too much. It's
so you're giving them a break when it was easy, when it would have been easier to keep track of canon than now when they have to juggle 60 years of it.
Yeah, exactly. I gotta give them a break. But
Star Trek fans.
I also don't like that what they do with the Klingons in this episode.
What did they do with the Klingons?
They were better than what we've seen than the first season.
Are you talking like design wise?
They were okay design-wise. They weren't quite what we used to, but they weren't far off either. They were like Klingons we'd expect to see.
Yeah. I mean, they even had the gold, like in the TOS, like they lower their little gold outfits.
K-pop Klingons, you mean?
Yes, the K-pop Klingons.
No, they looked.
That was Hemmer, by the way, in the chair. The actor Bruce Horak. He was the K-pop Klingon.
I know. Which is awful. No, I don't. I thought they looked like Klingons with bling, personally. But also, I was.
So wait a minute. You remember that, like in TOS, the Klingons wore gold shit. Like their whole outfits were gold.
It's a little bit more subtle than what
subtle. It was a whole ass gold macrame, or not macrame. It was a gold like shiny shirt.
I'm not quite going with that. They looked. I will actually go. Search of Spot Klingons were a bit odder, but generally speaking, well, I swear the way the Klingons are, they shouldn't really care about that sort of thing. But so we let that slide. I think it was more the way they behaved, and then their disruptors were really powerful. But we do have to remember that they were just as powerful in thing. But people were just popping.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that I don't think I've heard anyone bring up is the fact that I feel like they established some new phaser cannon. Have we ever had to charge phasers before? Have they ever had charges?
I think they've
like has a phaser run out of charge?
There's crystal in it, isn't there? In the phaser.
I don't remember.
I seem to remember them changing the crystal for some reason. I can't remember. Because TNG, I think.
Because let's be honest, if we want to
mention charging phasers in the original in TNG.
Because if we want to be like really like be nudges about Star Trek canon, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a setting on the phaser where you can like they could do wideband and they'd be like all these zombies and just vaporize them all and be like that was close.
Yeah, I do think the phasers do something. Well, it's the same with the tricorders, isn't it? Like we need to detect things on the data band of the other thing. Oh, we could. The one thing that I mean, this was me just being really pedantic, maybe.
Yeah.
But they're being attacked by wave after wave of zombies. They can't get out, so the first thing they think of to do is to get rid of one of their weapons. We've got 2 phasers. I'm going to get rid of one. That was just, I mean, from a military point of view, just like I'm not sure that makes sense. So I thought that was a bit idiotic. They like killed 5, and now they've got 50% less firepower. I didn't think the whole bit at the end was amazing. With the Klingon deciding to why the Klingon was angry in the first place.
Yeah,
he was an angry Klingon, and then it just sort of then went, it's okay. I'll sacrifice myself. It just I don't know. It's just the whole episode.
Well, I mean now. So the Klingon business of it all, like that all tracks for me. Like the idea that
I think that's how
Klingon
would behave. Yes, I do.
Yeah, a Klingon, like the dishonor thing, and then they have to kill him, and then the guy who killed, like the thing with Mbega. And now, does it make sense, like Klingon honor wise, why she would want to kill Mbega for killing her father? No, I don't think so. I think that was supposed to be an emotional thing. I think that she was supposed to be dealing with some stuff, and the point of that was for Mbenga to have a second chance to make the different choice than the one he made with Doc Ra in Under the Cloak of War. And
it allowed Mbenga's character to develop a little bit more and as well.
And starting to like let go of the whole war business of it all. And the zombies were just a method to force, like to have an external threat that, and again, the idea of dying in battle is an honorable death. You get into Stovacor, that tracks for me. Your mileage may vary whether it works or not.
Yeah.
Also, did you notice the Klingon shuttle was a Discovery style?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that they are, while they are not mentioning anything about like the different designs of the Klingons, I think it is interesting how they are kind of like trying to imply a transition from the look of it in Discovery to the look of Klingon stuff in TOS.
I had a little bit of a problem with that because it was like they had.
There's a better article about all the versions, all the Klingon designs from CBR.com, I think.
Yeah. If you flash something up, Harris, do it a bit slower. I blinked and missed that. The thing that I think annoys me a little bit about that was just because it felt like it was something that they had left over from June. And then they, I always feel it's like Kurtzman desperately trying to bring the stuff he wrote during the J.J. Abrams movies into this generation of Star Trek, and it does annoy me a little bit. It doesn't look like anything Klingon. And I don't understand why you see a Klingon Thank you, House. You see a Klingon bird of prey, then you see the shuttle, and like that
Look at all that
doesn't
gold.
really make sense. But what you're gonna do? The one thing I did really love in this episode is Erica Torgega's. We're seeing that like the PTSD sort of coming through, and I thought she was really good in this. And I think is it the next episode we see a bit more? I'm going to mix these episodes. Is this the episode where she defies orders?
Oh no, I have to replace that video on that. Oh, look at Takuvma.
Stupid thing. So Erica is my favorite character.
Yeah, I think so. At the end of Wedding Bell Blues is when we see Erica doing the like fighting thing and seeing the Gorn in the background. And the thing I also love about this episode is that there are three parallel stories about something very familiar in Star Trek, which is breaking Starfleet orders. Mm-hmm. The whole mission, as Pike says at the end, is off the books breaking orders. And he's doing it to save Batel. Then you've got M'Benga confessing to what we all, at least what I assumed happened, that he murdered Doc Ra because he did war crimes. Which, again, the soldier part of my brain, I understand how you get there. Yeah. And then there was Erica forcing the Enterprise to do the quick plan, which... The thing that I love best about the Erica story is that in any other episode, in almost any other circumstance, she would have been the hero for that. She would have saved Pike and M'Benga, because when they beam up is when... Because I'll be honest, I was surprised that she got in trouble the first time I watched it. Like, I knew the shuttle was there, but I kind of forgot about it because they beam away just as the Horde comes at them. Yeah. And I didn't realize until number one said it that they would have just gotten the shuttle, pissed off back to the Enterprise. No one would have been the wiser. And I think that's very interesting that both M'Benga gets kind of forgiven for murder, for murdering a Klingon defector, Starfleet ambassador, and Erica gets in trouble for what could conceivably be a mistake. Like, she could have made a mistake. Like... I know
where you're coming from. That I agree with you. But I think it was because she actually put the crew at risk.
Absolutely, and it is
unnecessary. But
I mean, it's one of the few times where I feel like, especially the number one Erica thing, Starfleet felt like the military. Like, it felt like a militaristic, military-like organization. You know, because especially. In Strange New Worlds, it's all Erica and first names, and we're speaking colloquially, and we're pals. And this was like a sir, yes, sir kind of situation. And it absolutely resonates because, does Erica have full-on post-traumatic stress? I don't know. But I know that when I got back from deployment, again, I was very lucky. I only ever heard combat or saw it from very far away. Turned in every round I was ever issued. Never fired at anything living. But even that, when I came home, I noticed that I would get really pissed off about things. I would get really angry. And I feel like that's what's going on with Erica. She was scared and she was angry at number one. And so she forced her hand. And again, in any other episode, she would have been the hero. But because she didn't need to do it, there were consequences. And I give me more Starfleet politics.
I know, I do appreciate that. and people don't hit on the fact that Starfleet is a military organization as much it's exploration and everything else. Yeah. For me, in the fifth episode, which we'll talk about in a minute, but in the fifth episode, Ortega's changed her hair. And I've got some experience working with people with PTSD. I've sort of struggled with it a little bit myself. You have psychologically, you start having an issue with self-worth and things like that, but you try to then express that. Well, you try to, I want to change how I feel. So you change. I
saw the hair thing. I did not make that connection.
So because of my psychology background, I was, as soon as I look at that, I go, that's very, very clever. Whoever's done that. It's very clever. Is this the episode where number one had a Heidi haircut?
She sure did. She had been yodeling, I guess. Quarters before.
It was bloody. She looked like. Have you ever seen that bread where they it's a bun and then they do the old crossy thingy? She had one of those on her head.
First of all, I want to go on the record that Rebecca Romaine can wear whatever hairstyle she wants. She's gorgeous. I love her to death forever. She's Mystique. She's number one.
There is
that said, no one was doing her any favors with that hairstyle.
She took off her uniform and said, "You can have me now," I wouldn't be going, "Yeah, I'm not with that hair on." I wouldn't be doing that. But no, she's a brilliant actress. I think she was perfectly cast as number one. When you remember the number one from the original series episode, I think, oh my God, it was like they built her for this. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think she's a glorious actress. That hairstyle was ridiculous. Yeah. It was Heidi hair. Yeah. How we're flying through this now, seeing that we're an hour and I can't see my glasses.
Hour 31.
Episode.
Oh, here we are. Episode 4. Oh,
right.
Dun.
This might be the worst episode of Star Trek I've ever seen that nobody sang in. It's I hate that, but I am going to go back and I will watch it again after some of your comments because I appreciate that maybe it wasn't on the level. But I still argue that when I watched this episode, I came away feeling that they were taking the piss out of the original series.
Sure. I see how you could get there. I think
surface level, to be fair, it is a surface level, but a lot of fans are on that surface level.
Oh, sure.
And I read your article about it, and my first instinct was Josh is insulting me, but actually then read the things.
Yeah.
What did he say? I think it was the opening.
Oh yeah, I absolutely fucked up that tweet because I said something like I meant to say like underestimated. Like the fans' willingness to like dig in and do a close reading, and everyone's like, "You called us stupid," and I'm like, "Ah,
you did a bit.
I'm the stupid one." Yeah, no, you're right. You're right because I here's the thing: it's the character limits. The character limits. Yeah. I always make like the inartful choice because what I think what they did
trying to make a point is the point. You're trying to make a point that this episode is so much more than what it appears to be.
Yeah.
This is a swan with a duck costume on, or however you want to put it.
Right.
So it's not a duck. Every episode, every video I do, I try to lock onto some metaphor that I then can't let go of. But unfortunately, I just think they've misread the room.
Sure.
Badly with this.
Well, so here's the one thing that I think is like. Even if you like Strange New Worlds, I could see coming into this episode and being like, I don't like what they're doing here. But if you're already sort of predisposed to thinking that like the writers of Strange New Worlds do not have the proper respect for Star Wars that you think, or Jesus, I'm so sorry. The Star Trek that they should. Then I think you're absolutely going to look at this in the most uncharitable way possible.
Which, unfortunately, is how a lot of fans, particularly like older Trekkies, a lot of older Trekkies feel that Kurtzman and a few others. I had to point out, look, Lower Decks is some of the best Star Trek. I think my last video was just like, they've done some good Trek. They have. But a lot of people think that he doesn't respect Star Trek because they look at what he did with J.J. Abrams, and unfortunately, the first season of Discovery, where he tried to bring that a lot into Star Trek, the way the Klingons were, the way a lot of other things were, and they just go, you don't really understand Trek culture, and you actually want to do something else with Star Trek.
Star Trek culture is not a monolith. I mean, if we get a person for whom TOS is their favorite, TNG is their favorite, DS9 is their favorite, Voyager's 9 is favorite. Get them all in a room and be like, write us a Star Trek series. You're going to come back in 3 weeks and they'll have not stopped fighting about which episodes are good and which is bad. The Voyager fan would be dead. The DS9 person would have absolutely killed him.
The TNG and the DS9 ganged up on it. But I don't feel like that. I feel like every series that comes, there's there's negativity towards it. But
yes.
By the second episode, everyone's. I remember when DS9 started.
See, not by the second episode. I was on fan Usenet groups in like 96, 97, where they were still calling Cisco the affirmative action captain and still saying it wasn't.
That's so woke. I mean, come on.
And that, you know, DS9 was too dark and too militant and stuff for Star Trek. It wasn't until, like, it's not until, I think, I mean, of course, everybody's experience is different, but I think that the general consensus that Deep Space Nine and even Voyager are, you know, good Star Trek, that didn't happen until we got Enterprise, because that's sort of how it goes. Once you get the like next thing, you're like, oh wait, what we had wasn't so bad, was it?
I think I had that, but I was my time frame was a little shorter. I basically went to the second season of almost every series. The first 2 seasons of TNG aren't great.
I mean, there's some hidden gems in there, you know.
Yeah, no, I've always said Conspiracy is a great episode. There are some good episodes, but
Data, Measure of a Man, I think, is season 2.
I think it got good when Geordie LaForge got his magical degree in engineering, and they figured out that actually a Klingon
might make a good security officer.
Yeah, might make a good security officer. Voyager, the first 2 seasons weren't great. At Deep Space Nine, basically until Cisco shaved his head and the Defiant turned up, it wasn't great. It got better. So for me, I fell in love with almost everyone, and it's almost like a dead cert that like season 2, end of season 2, into season 3, I will fall in love with it. And don't get me wrong,
Sarah's not wrong. Sarah's not wrong. Riker's beard was the turning point.
Riker got a beard. He looked weird before that. I mean, if Voyager 7 of 9 turned up, and I was like, I am now interested in this. This is. I am now more interested. How tight is that? But yeah, I mean, but Enterprise, I didn't respect. I watched Enterprise. I never really loved it.
See, I skipped it. I was like, I'll catch the next one. I'll catch the next Star Trek series.
I watched it years later, and I'm like, don't get me wrong, there's some bloody bad episodes, and I wish they took the temporal war nonsense out that Paramount forced on them. And if they'd have done that, I think they'd have had a brilliant. They should have just focused on. They shouldn't have called it the Enterprise, and they should have just focused on the forging of the Federation. But Paramount executives ordered them basically with like a time travel thing, and it's like, and they made it happen.
It's funny. I love the temporal Code War. That I absolutely love it.
Hated it. I just think the whole season got a bit confused over time. It didn't quite know what it was, and that's maybe the problem. But I tell you what, you go back and watch the first 2 episodes of Enterprise now, and I'm like, particularly with your like almost like critical eyes on, and my God, it's clever. I think they got the technology.
I think the best pilot. You know, and when I say best, I mean like I think it's the most solid pilot episode that we've gotten. You know, and I'm even counting Third Wave Trek. I'm counting all these new shows.
I will argue the first episode of DS9 was bloody good.
It's all right, but I mean, you know, I think my thing with DS9, I remember brushing up against the whole profits thing as a kid. And that was just because I don't like, you know, it's like, I don't want you got your peanut butter in my chocolate. You know, at the time I was like, I don't want your mysticism in my Star Trek. Obviously I've grown to love it, but yeah, I don't know. I think Enterprise I think it's a solid. I have seen Enterprise probably twice through completely. Yeah. I've watched the pilot maybe 6-7 times. Like it's just such a good 2 hours of TV or 90 minutes of TV.
There's so many little details in there, really good. The reason I like the Deep Space Nine pilot, though, is that Cisco tells Picard off. So I like that.
That is a good one. That is a good one.
Square when he was told off. The 4th episode for me, though.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to compare this to Stargate again because it's my first love. It's not my first. Star Trek's my first love. But now I'm a gator. It's like the second relationship that you know, you just like you learn all your mistakes from the first one. There's a 200th episode. I don't know whether you know Stargate, but there's a 200th.
I am casual with Stargate. I am very familiar with the 200 episode. It was. I remember watching it live because they promoted the hell out of it.
Oh well, yeah. So they did a
and I saw the Farscape thing. I was like, Farscape, get out of here.
Yeah, I love that. I thought it was so clever. But after 200 episodes, they were basically told, "Look, you can do. Let's just go crazy. Let's just do what we want." This episode 4, felt like that's what they were just like, let's do what we like. Let's like poke fun. Let's do the thing. We'll have a laugh with this. We'll do whatever we want. We'll just do something really, really out there, which we know they wanted. Akiva Goldsman keeps talking to me about. We want to genre bend. We want to, we want to push limits. They're allowed after 200 episodes, not after 24 episodes. They're not. Is the way I feel about it. I just think I watch this and I just go, you haven't earned this. This is mental. And when they do the bloody puppets episode, I'm going to say the same thing again. They haven't earned it. It's too,
look, I think we are. I think if you judge something before you see it, you have created a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
If you say the puppet episode's going to suck, when you watch it, it's going to suck.
I know it's going to suck. I just think they haven't earned it.
Yeah. Now, and I mean, the earning it thing, I guess that's fair. That's fair, I suppose. I think with this particular episode, with episode 4, I mean, they have done, Those Old Scientists was I think, we're going to celebrate how much we love Star Trek kind of episode, because they brought in Mariner and Boimler, who are fans of Starfleet history, which means they're fans of Star Trek. So I think with this one, and there's the thing that's really telling to me is that they put this episode up for free on YouTube. And the reason I think they do is, people have said to me that have read my article and stuff that whether they agree or not, they say that, like, they don't know the sort of deep dive history that may be getting referenced in this episode. And that's fair enough. That's why I wrote the article Harris just showed you. You can find out how what's his name? TK Bellows relates to Gene Roddenberry, how Sonny Lapino relates to Lucille Ball. But I think that at least with the Last Frontier scenes that we see, whether that's a misconception about Star Trek or whether you don't, that is what people think Star Trek is. Because, the quote that I have in that article where Paul Wesley talks about going through all of TOS and watching William Shatner, that was not about this episode. That was about when he got cast as Kirk and how he was trying to figure out what to bring from that and what to make his own. This episode, I don't think he's doing, if you look, I would bet, I don't know, if I ever got a chance to ask him, I would ask him this, maybe even off the record in case he doesn't want to admit it. But I would bet that if Paul Wesley studied anybody for this episode, it was Kevin Pollak, who was like one of the first guys to ever do the Shatner thing.
Yeah, thought Jim Carrey did it as well in SNL.
I mean, Jim Carrey did it, but not like, I'm telling you, when we're done,
like
look up Kevin Pollak Shatner.
I mean, I've seen William Shatner doing that interview, and he talked about these people, didn't they? And he was quite insulted by it. So
let's be honest. Bill's always been very salty about people thinking he's not a good actor. Which is unfair, because actually he's a very good actor. He's an incredible actor, and there is an element, like, if we're being completely honest, there is an element of that cadence to Shatner's performance in TOS. It is not as exaggerated as these impressions are. So that is what
any impression is an exaggeration. That's the point.
And so the thing that I think that I connected with when watching this episode was that this whole thing is sort of generated by the computer from Lon's favorite stories, as after the Gorn thing, about this lady who goes into places, sees the worst of people, expects the worst of people, uncovers secrets, and it's almost like the antithesis of Star Trek. Now, here's something that just occurred to me right now thinking about it. Because the computer is generating this stuff for the first time, maybe it created the Last Frontier from the logs and stuff in its databanks. Like maybe it really is Starfleet. Like maybe it is really based on Starfleet or whatever. I don't know. That's an article I can write after the season when I'm really digging for ideas. But I think that like the point of it is that like we are attached to Lon's perspective in the holodeck. And so she sees, this ruthless producer who's, you're not the ruthless producer, but like this producer who's like trying to keep the show alive, make money, sells their house, then gets killed. And then we've got TK Bellows, who I've seen some of the videos. If you aren't aware of like stories about what Gene Roddenberry was like, maybe you don't have to look him up. You don't got to look him up. You don't got to know. Why do that to yourself? But he wasn't like TK Bellows. TK Bellows, the drunk thing aside, he was not this like whiny pushover whining about his vision. He was a beast. He would especially with NBC, he would fight them. There's a story I love that Nichelle Nichols told about the Plato's stepchildren, the Kiss. When they were filming that scene, these network suits showed up and told the director, here's what we're going to do. We're going to film, or told the director not to do it. And then Roddenberry came out because he hadn't stepped away yet. And he said, here's what we'll do. We'll film the scene with a kiss, and then we'll film one where the kiss is implied. We can decide in editing what to use. And whether this was a collaboration or not, I don't know. Nichelle Nichols kind of implied that maybe they were all in on it together. But when they were filming the kiss, they filmed the kiss scene first. And then Shatner was like, you know what? Can we go again? Because I didn't really like that. I want to try it again. And he kept asking to do the kiss again. And it got into like golden hours and stuff. And the director was like, we have got to do the one without the kiss. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, of course. And then they go to shoot the scene where they do the kiss. And so he dips her down even lower and then does the thing where he's supposed to like look at the camera, and he crossed his eyes. So the only take they could use was one with the kiss. And, that was how that's how they would fight with the network. And Gene Roddenberry, he didn't get fired. He quit because NBC was like, we're going to put Star Trek in Friday nights at 10. And he knew they were trying to kill the show. And he walked away. I got sidetracked on that because I do love my Star Trek history.
Just to make a point though, that on Pike's Anson Mount's vision, he's supposed to be Gene Roddenberry, and I know Gene Roddenberry was not a saint by any stretch of the imagination.
I think there's a little Harlan Ellison in there too, if we're being honest.
Yeah, well, very possibly. All I'm saying is that Star Trek fans look up to him like a deity, sort of thing. They look up to Gene Roddenberry. We don't want to know that they weren't perfect. It's almost like looking up to your dad. You don't want to know your parents aren't perfect.
Yeah, but that's
so. But why did they make him a drunk?
Because
that's the bit that I really struggle with. Even if it's true, why do that? On the surface of it, all that looks like is they're saying that basically Gene Roddenberry is a degenerate.
Did you ever clock that? Did you ever clock that James Cromwell in First Contact is also kind of a Gene Roddenberry stand-in?
Yeah, and that's fine. But I'm talking. But this episode.
But he was also a drunk, and he was chasing Deanna around, and he was also struggling with his vision and his creation. I mean, that is not a new thing. It's kind of, but like I said, I feel like this is the satire of it, because just like Lucille Ball kind of didn't give a shit about Star Trek after it got on the air. Unlike Sonny Lapino, who's like, I mortgaged my house. This version, TK Bellows, is not the way Gene Roddenberry is. Now, whether you pick that up or not, because again, who knows this type of history? That's fair. But if you watch A Private Little War from TOS and don't know anything about the Vietnam War, that episode is still not less about the Vietnam War. If you watch, what's the one? I'm trying to think of another specifically like political issue episode. But like the ignorance of what the subtext is or the context is, that from the intention of it, doesn't rob the episode of that intention. Now,
Yeah.
when we get to the execution and how it lands with you, I mean,
that's the problem.
Yeah,
And
that is everybody's thing. But you know, it's like you said, I've gotten at least two or three messages online from people who are like, I read your article about the satire thing, and then I rewatched the episode, and I rewatched it again, and I see where you're coming from. And now they aren't saying like, oh my God, you're right, I love the episode now. They're just, you know, I think they're just saying at least I see where you're coming from. And that's really all I'm going with, because the episode or don't, I just don't want you to think, I don't want people to think that they're mocking what Star Trek is, because the climactic moment of that episode is not Lon solving the case, figuring out that it's Spock. It's not Scotty doing whatever he's doing. It's not them doing cool starship stuff with the neutron star. And by the way, the wave only hits the nacelle. So if anyone's in the nacelle, they're dead.
The first time it hits them, it hits the whole ship.
Absolutely not. It's the nacelle. Look, we will.
The second time.
Harris, bring up the tape. No.
The second time it does only hit the nacelle.
Yeah. But the climactic moment is when Uhura Joni Gloss tells Lon about why this show is special, and Lon's reaction is that, like, she sort of realizes that this goofy pretend show in the holodeck is important to these pretend people the way that the story is important to her. And that is, of course, the meta message to the audience.
That's the point of the episode, yeah.
And, you know, now I had fun with it. I had a lot of fun with it. I loved the brain cells thing. I love the alien that looks like the one from the Corbomite maneuver. I love the fact that in the scenes when they're watching the clip, you can hear Frakes shouting in the background.
I like how they do the bit with the director in the episode where he's like right in it, because apparently that's what Frakes does all the time. Apparently he'll be like there.
Yeah.
Something about it again. I can't remember who it was talking about it. So he's like, he's like hiding behind stuff in the bloody furniture during the episode. So, he's in scene half the time. But the problem I have is with that. Yes, Paul Wesley was doing a Kirk impression, and he did it quite badly. I don't know what the pouting thing was about at the end.
The what?
I don't like how they.
The pouting.
I don't know. It was just stupid. I did think it was. I know where you're coming from with them. The important bit is that when they have that speech to make that's the point. But I'm afraid that the rest of the 40 minutes of the episode doesn't feel like that. And I don't think that's what they intended at all. I'm not saying that. It's how the episode made me then feel.
Sure.
And that's the point. But the problem, I think, with the episode mainly is that the people that created it have completely misread the room. They've misread what most fans feel. And when they've done this episode, that's the problem. That they don't understand, for me, they don't understand that this was going to be a problem for a lot of fans.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that they are. I don't think this episode was primarily for us in like the ones, you know, I think that if you're a super nerd and you know all this stuff, like you can see the Easter eggs. But the fact that they put this one up for free on YouTube, because the thing that I think about is if you don't know anything about Star Trek except what you've picked up through cultural osmosis, what you've picked up are the very misconceptions that this episode sort of targets. And I think I wonder, and again, I don't know, but I wonder if you go in with it thinking that what they're doing is a parody of Star Trek, and then you get to that moment where Joni Uhura, gives that speech and so on and so forth. Does it play? I don't know, but I think they think it might. And again, whether they're right, how it works is absolutely completely personal to you. And there's no right or wrong. It's never right or wrong to like or not like something. The only thing that I wanted to convey about this episode was because even the people who liked it, I think we're getting it wrong. We're saying that like, oh, this is their direct parody of TOS and a direct parody of William Shatner. And again, I don't think it is as straightforward as that.
Yeah.
And I just want to have the conversation, let's talk about it. Let's think about it, fans.
Yeah. If you do an episode that requires this much,
I'm sorry, isn't that what Star Trek is about? Star Trek episodes supposed to require this much? Like the thought, the looking into it. That's, I mean, sure, let that be your last battlefield. Not exactly subtle, but you know, there are plenty of episodes.
I'm always arguing sci-fi should have layers and should be, you know, thing. But this one, I think, was maybe a bit too in your face.
I mean, I will say this: it's much different to say have layers about like the Vietnam War, poverty, racism, and then layers about your space adventure show. I mean, the metatext. I think the metatextual nature of it is perhaps people might feel like it's, instead of close reading, it's navel gazing. But I don't know. I like thinking about and talking about Star Trek. So obviously, as we close in on 2 hours.
So let's talk about the last episode a little bit.
Yes.
So episode 5. That is one of the rare occasions. It's rare with Strange New Worlds, which I love. I love Strange New Worlds, by the way. When it's not very good, it's really not very good. When it's great, it's great. This episode felt like Star Trek.
Didn't I tell you?
I wish I could do a little bit more of that. That would be nice. This episode I thought was... I came away from it properly like, I'm looking forward to the next episode. And I haven't done that for a while with any Star Trek than Picard Season 3. I genuinely... I've got nothing but good things. So I thought it was a really, really good episode. I made a joke about the Geordie eyes, that they tried to grab at the eyes. And we've debated it ever since. And I think it was you that made the point. Somebody else sort of made it, but I think you made it more articulately. Maybe it's regenerating the eyes based on the person's DNA. So that's why Geordie couldn't have his eyes regrown, because it's a fault in his DNA. Yeah. So they can't just regrow the eyes. They could have just grown another pair of eyes, apparently, and just plucked his out and put new ones in, because we know his optic nerve worked. Yeah. But let's not get into that too much detail.
I mean, I don't know. Would you want your...
No, wait a second, though. Just to think, I thought about it afterwards. Oh. We see them regenerating tissue loads on TNG. So afterwards, when I thought about it in a bit more detail, I was like, oh, no, actually, we've seen them go a cut.
We've seen it loads. That is the regrowing eyes, though. That feels more complex.
But I just thought about the Worf episode when he broke his back, and I'm like, oh man, I wish he had that technology then, because they could just...
but everyone knows Klingon backs. They have that chemical in it that doesn't let you do that.
Yeah, of course it does. It's like he's going to have the Amtium back, so it's metal stick on.
You know, there was something I don't know if it was. I don't know if you said it in this conversation or if I heard it in one of your videos, but the way that like the scientific consultants and stuff work on Star Trek, it's like they don't, unless they're like Naren Shakar, I think is his name, that go on to write episodes. Usually the science comes after the story. Like, who was I listening to? I think it was Aaron McDonald or somebody on NPR talking about how there was a story where they were like, maybe it was Muhammad Noor, I don't know. Somebody was talking about how there was some sort of story about like the transporter, and they were gonna do something with the transporter, and the science advisor was like, well, you know, you can't do that because of the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. And they're like, oh, and he's like, but
we'll compensate for that.
We have the Heisenberg compensator. So like that, I think is it. Like, I love technobabble. I love the fun sci-fi stuff, but I also I love the Arthur C. Clarke thing. The technology so advanced, it's magic. Like this prison thing was so cool. Yeah. Oh, the replicator is magic. Yeah.
I was somebody saying about how some of this science is beyond things, doesn't make sense, and I'm like, in quantum mechanics right now, we've got something called quantum entanglement. That is evil and witchcraft, and I just like that's just and anything else. I'm just thinking, anytime you see something in a sci-fi, I think, well, that's scientific not possible. I'm like, yeah, quantum entanglement, done. End of argument. Yeah. Because that makes no sense at all. So we don't know what's possible or impossible, and just let it go, sort of thing. So yeah, I don't have a problem with that. So yeah, the eyes thing I thought was a bit weird. I thought, yeah, okay, it reminded me of Event Horizon in a couple of places where the guy with his eyes burned out. And
it did have that Event Horizon kind of vibe, the scary unknown.
Yeah. But everything else they were exploring, which I liked.
They're figuring things out.
Yeah, they found a villain, and I actually thought logically when they said it's not a thing, it's a prison. I actually quite like that. And I think that would make sense.
It's a cookbook.
Well, yeah, but I like how it's how it would be a prison, because that's how like the quantum thing works, and like you can see everything moving and stuff in the background, and I'm like, there was nothing wrong with this episode at all for me.
Let me ask you this: did you, in seeing that, I'm forgetting the actor's name, but that character that as they were introducing him, did they trick you into thinking like, oh, he's going to be a new regular guy, and then they do this like, yeah, well,
in the start, we've seen him before, haven't we, in a couple of episodes in the back, and he's been but they start off with a voiceover saying like everything changed. So you're thinking he's going to be okay in the end. Yeah. And then not. So yeah, no, I really liked how they did that. I actually thought this episode was set up beautifully. We've got a villain. I'm now actually genuinely like, oh, okay. This could be a good villain. This isn't the Gorn. I actually quite like this. I'm excited about the rest of the season, which I haven't been with TNG. So Strange New Worlds before, I don't think. I love Strange New Worlds mainly because of the characters. I think the characters are really, really good. I don't think particularly any of the storylines have really got me particularly excited. I just think it's made so well with such good characters that I enjoy watching it. And it's like the stories are almost secondary and I'm not bothered.
Yeah, sort of the last thing I want to say about episode 5, which is funny because I haven't had much to say about it, is that in a way, I think that is kind of like a compliment to the episode because, you know, I was watching episode 4. I had all kinds of takes on it. Episode 2, I had all kinds of takes on it. Episode 3, I had a couple takes on it, you know, and episode 1. Episode 5, I watched it weeks ago for the first time. I've seen it, I think, one more time since. I
think we can agree that you may or may not have seen it weeks ago.
No, I can say that I've seen that one weeks ago. Yeah, I'm allowed to say that. And I'm allowed to say, I think that I've seen the whole season thus far. But episode 5 is one that like, I need to sit with it. It is a proper Star Trek episode in that I think I need to see it again. You know, I think it's one of those ones that it doesn't immediately address some like canon thing. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't tie into the stuff that we can easily talk about. It is strange new worlds. You know, it is and as much as I like this first half of the season. I think it's great. I am a big fan of it. I have to say 5 is my favorite episode of these first 5 because it is the most Star Trek.
Yeah.
You know, I don't brush up against the quirky episodes and the fun episodes as much as you do, but I do appreciate the fact that we only get 10. And, you know, it would be, as much as I loved playing with Trelane, as much as I love goofing off in the holodeck, as much as I love watching them fight zombies, I could go for a couple more episodes like 5, where there's this new thing, this problem, there's an away team. That's the stuff.
Star Trek first. For me, 8 or 9 episodes should be like that.
Yeah.
And have 1, maybe 2 of the genre bending stuff. And that is my take on Strange New Worlds altogether, to be honest. Brilliant characters who I adore. I really enjoy watching and all the thing. Not enough Star Trek. It's like 70% quirky genre bending episodes and like 30% Star Trek. And I'm just like, I'd like a bit more Star Trek. I saw Anson Mount actually say, well, Star Trek's a genre on its own now. And I'm like, yeah, it is. Do more of it.
Well, I mean, come on. Star Trek has always been an anthology series. Like, even TOS. Every episode can be something different. I mean, again, this much, but you're right. There were more episodes. Like, when you do 4 or 5 quirky episodes and then, like, a couple, you know, genre parodies, amid 23 to 30 episodes, it's less noticeable than 10. But no, I'm fine with the season so far. I think it's a good time. I think it's great. I've loved. It's beautifully done. Yeah, I've enjoyed much more. You know, most of the stories much more than I've brushed up against. But 5, I think, is my favorite episode because it is one that I don't know what to say about it yet. I have to, even after all this time. And I will say this, and by way of a tease, I think this was a good first half of the season. I think the second half of the season, so much stronger.
Good.
I think 5 starts a run of episodes and stories that are really surprising. Even the one that you've been talking about, dreading in a way of being a quirky episode, I think it will surprise you.
Good.
And I will say that one of the episodes coming up, and we can talk about it when we close out the season, is not just my favorite episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Of course, those old scientists is always off, like, on the side. It gets special dispensation. It's my favorite. It's in maybe my top 5 Star Trek episodes.
Good. Let's go.
And I will say who the episode focuses on. Maybe there's a visual clue in my screen to tell you who it's about.
Is the Enterprise a character now?
The Enterprise has always been a character. How dare you?
Yeah. I know. I
know.
But
think, Jay. Think, Jay.
Okay. We'll look forward to it. How is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to look forward to it. So,
thank you, Modest Traveler. I think you're awesome too.
Yeah. Don't fill his head up. We'll never get rid of him. I'll always say when Strange New Worlds.
Alex, did you see that? Did you see that comment from Modest Traveler? Where's my shill check? I want it now. I forgot to do the bit when we started.
Damn it. I was joking with you. I used to do a conspiracy thing years ago, a mystery and conspiracy channel, and I was just getting called a shill. And I was like, hey, you pay me enough money, I'll say whatever the hell you like. But nobody's paying me, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'm stupid enough to like this stuff for free.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, when Strange New Worlds is good, it's damn good. So I look forward to it.
Yeah.
And I will say as well, for the people that think I try not to be negative about. I don't want to be negative about anything. I try to be balanced. I try to be fair, and I just know what people I think. Some people just do negativity for clicks because unfortunately negativity gets clicks. I'm critical of Star Trek because I effing love it.
I know.
Love Star Trek. It's like being disappointed at one of your children. You feel my children can make me happier than I knew I could be, or more annoyed than I knew I could be. And that's how I feel about Star Trek and a few of these other sci-fi shows that I adore.
See, you're the stern dad who's like, Star Trek, you can be better, and I'm the sweet one that's like, oh, come here, Star Trek, you do your best. You do your best.
The annoying, forgiving daddy. We'll talk about the psychology of that one day.
Yeah. By way of sort of wrapping things up, I will say that, like, I understand being a Star Trek fan is being frustrated with Star Trek. Like, I think back to, watching, like, I remember so many times, like, turning on DS9, turning on TNG, turning on Voyager, watching the episode and being like, I waited a week for that.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, especially when you have to wait a week, it can piss you off. You know what I mean? The one thing that I think that maybe sort of also softens my experience versus yours, you're waiting a week for these. I watched all 5 in one afternoon. You know what I mean? And that, I think that also plays a role. Like, if for your viewers here who aren't having fun watching week to week, maybe just wait till the end of the season and then let it, like, do a binge. And because I think that especially the back half of the season, it gets into sort of a flow that it really, I don't know, I think they really hit their stride in the back half of the season. So even if you struggle,
I tell you what, actually, I say they're doing 10 episodes and they got loads of planning. Secret Hideout are really banging out Star Trek at the moment. They're back to back filming these episodes. So yeah, let's see.
Well, not counting counting Starfleet Academy, Secret Hideout has in less than 10 years made more Star Trek shows, more distinct Star Trek shows than all of the years before combined. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that. And I only say that just to say that, like, they are you know, they are doing quite a bit. They are, you know, this will be an interesting era of Star Trek. If the deal gets renewed, if the deal does not get renewed, it will be very interesting to look back in 5-10 years at how.
The flip side of that is that to say that Marvel also did an awful lot.
Oh yeah,
the first half of it was excellent, but then
Marvel is Kevin Feige built the Marvel universe on the Star Trek model.
Yeah,
you know,
down the toilet for like 5 years.
Yeah, Fantastic Four is great.
Oh no, Fantastic Four is fantastic,
and Thunderbolts was banging,
and Thunderbolts is excellent as well. Captain Doctor Strange 2 was bloody awful.
Man, Doctor Strange 2 made me mad. They did Wanda dirty.
Yeah, but they just did one bad show after another, one bad movie after another for about.
See, the only show that I've not liked about Marvel has been Secret Invasion, and that's just because it didn't live up to its promise. Like, I went in with high expectations for a Samuel L. Jackson spy series.
Yeah, so did I.
It did not live up to it.
It ended terribly. No, I didn't like the Miss Marvel. I didn't like. Actually, to be fair, I've lived like pretty much all of the others. Except I didn't love Echo. It started really well, and just sort of wandered, and I didn't really. I liked
Echo. I feel like it either needed to be a movie or like 4 more episodes.
Yeah, it didn't quite hit something for me.
I really like Alakwa Cox. I hope she comes back because she does a really good job.
Yeah, I thought she did a great job.
And that was a good Vincent D'Onofrio series.
Everybody
like he was
bloody woke at it again, though, didn't they? It just pisses me off.
Yeah.
She's only got the job because she's and I'm like, fuck off. But yeah, I thought it was brilliant. I didn't love Ironheart until the 4th episode, and then at the end, and I went, that was pretty good. I quite liked Ironheart in the end. But it did take me a bit to get into. But anyway,
yeah,
we're gonna. Have to
one last thing though, to end the sort of Star Trek talk and Marvel talk. One of my favorite details in it. Forgive me, audience, if I've said this before. In the book MCU, The Reign of Marvel Studios by Joanna Robinson, Dave Gonzalez, and I'm forgetting the other guy. Oh shit, I'm sorry, man. But it's a great book that if you like any Hollywood or Marvel, you should read it. But their screenwriter of, I think, the first Doctor Strange movie, C. Robert Cargill, said that Kevin Feige, to every like Marvel screenwriter that's doing a show or a movie, he'll go up to them and he'll essentially say, "Have you ever seen Star Trek V?" And if they say no, he shows them the fucking campfire scene. The row your boat marshmallow scenes. And he's like, the movie needs to have a scene like this. We need a campfire scene because we need to know why they're friends. And And I just love that the most prolific and successful cinematic film franchise in our lifetimes and probably in history, its centerpiece is the thing that was the corniest scene from Star Trek's worst movie.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So even if you think Star Trek now is bad, the worst Star Trek inspires the best of everything else. Yeah. Bad Star Trek is better than good, I don't know, Law and Order.
Right, we're going to have to call it a day. Josh, as always, you're a legend. Thank you so much.
I love talking with you, Jay. It's a great time. I always listen to your stuff when I'm filing my stories.
When you've got nothing better to do.
I don't like filing, like doing all the computer stuff, so that's why I need to listen to something to distract myself.
I'm a distraction. That's beautiful. And I read all your articles and then get angry about them and do a video. No, I really appreciate it. Thanks very much. And yeah, there he is.
Look at that handsome fellow.
You can catch us all.
And there's some books in the background. I wonder what those books are about.
Yeah, probably like philosophy or something.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they're brilliant. But yeah, thank you so much, mate. We will, I'm sure, see you again, hopefully at the end of the season, where I will come in and go, "That was marvelous." I loved all of that. I'd love to do that. I want so much to watch Star Trek and not moan about it. You have no idea how much I want that. But no, thanks so much, mate. And Harris, you jumping back in or are you not? What are we doing? Because I got to go. I'm moving house at the moment. I've literally.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I can't wait to see the new setup.
Yeah. Oh, we're nearly there.
Make sure we can still see the toys though. I love looking at your Bird of Prey and Enterprise.
Well, my Lego models might have to rotate a little bit because the shelf isn't big enough, so they're going to rotate a bit. But yeah, I'm still going to have toys in the background.
Yeah.
But
I recently got this. I don't know if you can see it. It's the Hallmark. It's the Hallmark version of the Strange New Worlds Enterprise.
Oh, very cool.
Because the Eagle Moss one is like super expensive, and this
Eagle Moss is expensive on everything.
Yeah,
well,
yeah, but yeah. So I found the Hallmark version. I was like, oh, so I finally got the Enterprise, that one. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Chad, for all the kind words. Please read my stuff, and feel free to always reach out on social media. Hey, Donnie, that's my boy. Hey. I see him all the time in YouTube chats.
Yeah, he's a regular here as well, so it's very good. All right then. I'll see you very next time in a couple of weeks. And yeah, goodbye, everybody.